Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 5 of the State of the Fandom, a furry fandom podcast, the first and only podcast from the furry fandom. I am Neil Fox, the democratically elected president for life of the furry fandom. How lucky for me that I never have to worry about elections ever again.
And I am Link Labrador, the wonderful and floofy war dog / Prime Minister of the furry fandom.
Yes, every episode we just add new names and more titles, just as democratically elected dictators around the world do.
We're not dictators.
You're just dicks.
I mean, honestly, we're not dictators. But if someone wants to give me a title of Fluffy Boy, I will definitely accept it.
Of course. So, the title of this episode is called Quitting Capitalism, and I have tried to come up with a way to get across what I think would be the best way for the most people, especially in the millennial generation, to be able to improve their lives. And here is why I think that this is the way to do it. The simple fact is, in America today, there are so many people that are suffering under high rents,
Yep.
high food prices,
Yep.
inflation, unaffordable building materials to build their own. Even if they want to build their own house, they can't afford the land and they can't afford the building materials.
I mean, the best you can do at this point is go to the scrapyard, make a deal with one of the people there, and just start salvaging shit.
Right.
But most people don't actually have a pickup truck and or don't have the skills, knowledge, and know-how to be able to make even that work.
Right.
For example, did you know that you can use corrugated plastic board as insulation?
Really?
Yes.
Corrugated plastic board. Where would you get that?
You get them primarily after gigantic elections and just...
Corrugated plastic board. Oh, you were talking about this before. This was
Yes.
like the yard signs, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Those actually make pretty decent insulation because
It
they're
would-
hollow on the inside and there's individual there's ridges on the inside, and if you stack enough of them together, you can get an R rating of about 100.
Jesus.
Granted,
That's awesome.
you're gonna need about 100 of the damn things, but
It would give me so much joy to know that someone with a completely failed political campaign, like Jeb Bush,
and the
was
Green
insulating
Party,
my house.
Yes.
That would give me just the greatest amount of joy.
Now, unfortunately, these alternative insulating measures obviously probably wouldn't pass most housing regulations. Probably wouldn't pass most state regulations either, because you need to make sure that you use approved building material to insulate your house.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up just a little bit, because we have a lot of context of many conversations like this one.
Yes.
But the listeners, they're hearing this for the first time.
They are.
So, the way that I think, and you should give your 2 cents on this as well, the way that I think that the lives of many people across this country could be improved is by building their own house, building what's called a tiny house.
Yes.
Now, how do you describe a tiny house?
A tiny house is typically a house that it generally sits on a trailer. It's usually 8 by like 10 or 8 by 20.
Yep.
And it's built from the ground up out of whatever materials you can find that are generally lightweight, just because you're hauling this thing around.
Right.
And it's just a custom house. Now, that being said, a lot of towns are actually banning tiny houses because they're unsuitable housing material, because they're unsuitable housings, or someone on the town board or some soccer mom says, we can't have people living in tiny houses because people will freeze to death. Well,
Jesus.
That's not the case. And they're wrong. And what they're actively doing is driving people into homelessness intentionally.
Right.
It is intentional. It is malicious.
Right.
They want people to suffer. And I'm guaranteeing you, they want people to just die because if they can't live up to their standards, they're not worth your time. They're not worth their time.
Right.
And
Exactly.
a lot of people are being forced into these horrible circumstances where generally they would be able to live comfortable lives. They'd be able to live decent lives if, we just start cutting red tape and making it easier for people to do these kinds of things.
Well, and the thing that I like to point out to people is there are so many ways that you can improve your life with programs that already exist.
Yes.
People talk about free college. Did you know that every student in America who doesn't already come from a rich family, I think it's like 150% of the average wage or something. So it's like if your family makes less than $100,000 a year, you qualify for Pell Grants. And if your family makes more than $100,000, you don't need Pell Grants.
You really don't.
I don't remember the exact statistics on it, but the vast majority of people have 6 years worth of Pell Grants to use.
Yeah.
6 years. And so if there was a way that people could go to college and use their Pell Grants and not have to pay anything else, that is the equivalent of $30,000 that the United States Department of Education is more than happy to write you a check for.
Yes.
Now, the vast majority of people, the only option that they have, even the cheapest option, is oftentimes a community college, which might cost $10,000 a year. And so, even with state grants and federal grants and all of this, they might still have a small amount of student debt, even for the cheapest option in their state. Especially in a more expensive state like California and New York. These states, the cost of education, even in the state institutions, is so high that many of them graduate with debt, even using the cheapest option in their state.
Yes.
What I would like to see is I would like to see a fully accredited school with many different types of classes. But I think that we should start with business classes just because I can teach them. I've been through business school, and I can tell you I can teach way better than the vast majority of professors at the college that I went to. But anyone who's been to business school in most places can tell you that it's a joke. It doesn't actually teach you the skills you need to run a business. It teaches you the skills you need to be a peon in somebody else's corporation.
I mean, to be a peon really only requires one of two things: compliance, loyalty, and willing to pull the party line, toe the party line, however they see fit.
And considering that around...
Basically just be submissive. Yeah. Like, I don't know, to throw a sexual reference in there real quick. Just be submissive to your job and just do whatever they say. It will be just fine. No.
Mommy, Daddy, give me a paycheck, Daddy.
Mommy, Daddy, give me a paycheck. I'm a good boy, and I've ratted that person out because he's being a bad boy. Yeah. That person's being a bad boy. Oh, we're going to give you this hammer. Now you have to go find a nail, and the reality is, I don't actually fucking care, but you have to look like you're doing something because you applied for this position. Now you get to be the daddy dom and wield minuscule amounts of power. Meanwhile, the people that actually work there, some of them run their own fucking businesses.
Yep.
And the only elements they're missing is generally marketing.
Yeah.
And learning how to market your business so it takes the fuck off so you can get the fuck out.
Right. Well, the simple fact is that if you have a society where, if I remember correctly, it's like 80%, or it's well over 50% if I recall correctly, over 50% of people are dissatisfied with their job.
Yes. I can't imagine why.
What a shock. What a shock that people want a better life for themselves, for their family, and for their children.
Well, take the pandemic, for example.
Yeah.
Have you been to a fast food restaurant lately? Half of them are fucking closed, or half of them are drive-through only.
Yeah.
Without the drive-through invention, these fucking stores wouldn't exist to begin with.
Yeah.
The one guy... was it the 60s or 70s when the drive-thru was invented?
I don't remember. It's been a while since I looked that up.
Me too. I know one of the first restaurants to incorporate a drive-thru was like a Burger King or something.
Yeah.
Or the predecessor to a Burger King.
Yeah.
Or it might have actually been McDonald's itself.
Don't remember. But to get back to our topic for this podcast, quitting capitalism. How would most people in America today be able to quit their job and go and do something that they are passionate about? How would they be able to do that?
By pretty much cutting their expenses down to next to nothing and becoming self-sufficient through other means.
And by being educated.
Yes.
What is the difference between somebody who's able to do a difficult but rewarding job, something like being an HVAC person or being a carpenter? What's the difference between somebody who can be a carpenter and somebody who can't? It's knowledge.
The willingness to pick up a hammer and succeed and fail?
Right.
That's literally the only true qualifier that you need to be a carpenter, because master carpenter is not a actual term that exists.
Oh, interesting.
It is not a legal term. Now, master plumber is a legal term. Master electrician is a legal term. Master carpenter doesn't actually exist.
Interesting. Well, and what I would like to see is I would like to see people be able to get the training that they need for a job.
Yeah.
Be able to do that as much or as little as they prefer.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to work 40 hours a week, great. If they want to work 10 hours a week, great. You should be able to work as much or as little as you want.
Yeah.
You know, we were just talking about this earlier today. I am not surprised that 90 million people in the United States work for companies like Uber, DoorDash, and Grubhub, delivering food or driving people around or whatever. And these companies, they had a brilliant innovation. Now, I do disagree vehemently. I vehemently disagree with how many of these companies treat their workers. It is not fair to have so many workers that are not able to get company health insurance if they're working, the 40 hours a week that, is mandated by law that they should be able to get company health insurance. That, in my opinion, that should be changed. But the innovation that these companies figured out that, a lot of other companies need to get on board with is middle management does not need to exist. No. Middle management is solving a problem that they create themselves. The reason why I think that so many people could do this is because what do people actually need to live? Let's just list it out. Food. Shelter. Basic necessities like, clothes, blankets, stuff like that. That type of stuff is not expensive.
No.
Especially if you make it yourself.
Yes.
And I think, just from my own personal experience, I find if I make something myself, I'm a lot more proud of it. I'm a lot more invested in it than if I just buy it from somebody else. Even if it's an expensive thing. I would rather spend, a couple of days making something that looks interesting, that's suited to my taste, than go down to a store and buy it for $400.
I personally, and this is, groundhog.
This will happen a lot during our drives, so you can you can expect to hear a lot of deer, squirrel. Yeah, continue.
Like I was saying, I personally enjoy making stuff myself, such as any intricate piece of artwork, or I find it more enjoyable building something from the ground up, learning where I went wrong, what elements I went wrong with, and then figure out how to make it better for the next iteration.
Right.
I find that incredibly rewarding. I find that intensely pleasing because the mistakes are mine.
Exactly.
No one else's.
Right.
If you don't learn from your successes
Absolutely.
come after many, many attempts at failure.
Absolutely.
You can't be afraid to fail because you're never going to get anywhere.
Right.
Because it's only a failure you give up. Now,
Absolutely.
I have several mottos in life. Don't cry, just try.
Yep.
And the next is, winners never quit, and quitters will never win.
Absolutely.
And storms and tempests are some of the best teachers you have in this world.
This was something that you said to me a few months ago that really stuck with me, and I'm trying to remember exactly how you said it. I think it was, you learn from a stormy sea, or something like that. I don't remember how you said it.
Well, the way I said it was, stormy seas, I'm paraphrasing myself now,
Right.
but what I'm saying is, if you have trials and tribulations in your life, that means you're doing something right.
Right.
That means something's testing you. If the devil isn't actively fucking with you, you're not interesting. You're not worth anyone's time.
Right.
If someone wants to, defeat you, that means you have ultimately pissed someone off to the point of they want you gone because you are an active threat to them.
Right.
Which is a good thing. Being a threat to someone is actually a positive in this world. It's not a negative. It's a positive.
Yeah.
Because,
well, anything you do, and God knows you and I know this better than most, but anything you do is going to piss someone off.
good. Let it.
Right.
Let them be pissed off.
You know?
What are they going to do? Bring attention to you?
Oh, no.
Attack you?
Oh, no.
Give you an opportunity to be the good person, the person that's going to sit there and say, hey, look, man, yeah, well, we had tension before.
Right.
You know what I've done in the last couple weeks?
Right.
Bro,
Yeah.
what the hell are you talking about? It's like,
Exactly.
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we're racist furries. Rah! I'm like, I'm not racist. I'm like, okay. Or, I see this all the time online with vastly immature people.
Yeah.
You get angry with them, you get frustrated with them, and then 2 weeks later, it's just like, you're still angry about this, bro?
Right. I've moved on. Yeah.
Bro, I've moved on. I've made a podcast about it. I've done 8 or 10 more interesting things with my week.
Mm-hmm.
Driving from point A to point B, and we're on our 5th, 6th podcast episode in what?
A couple of days.
Couple of days?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, bro. It's like, whoever you are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we hit some traffic.
Yes.
But it's like, bro, chill. No one gives a fuck.
What people are looking for in this world is they're looking for security and they're looking for community.
Yeah.
Security and community are the things that, at least from my perspective, what people are looking for the most.
Yeah.
And that is what they are not getting from the current system.
No, they're not.
They're being alienated from their peers. They're being forced against each other. Of, those are the bad people. Those are the people that are, taking your money or taking your job or whatever. And it's like, no. If anything, it's the people in power that are telling you that. Those are the ones that are your enemy, are the people that, tell you, yes, those are the bad people.
Yes.
Whereas...
The moment we stop... That's funny you bring up, the conflict.
Yeah.
The moment we stop having conflict with each other over these, quite frankly, ideological ideas, that everyone wants to come to the conclusion of this ideological idea and that ideological idea. Wait, are you saying we want to do the same thing? Are you saying here on the common level, here on the level of just you and me?
Right.
Wait, you want to do what? You want to reform the prison system? Well, shit. I've always said the prison system is shit. My buddy's in prison, and he didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, he sold some weed, but he was doing that because the context behind it was he was trying to get money so his 14 kids and his 27 wives could have,
wives?
His 27
Talking about your dad. Just kidding.
We'll
have to bring the listeners up to speed on the wild story behind your family. But
we'll do that another time. But what I'm saying is, on a base level, the common folk just want a reasonable system.
Yep.
That benefits more than it hurts.
Correct.
Now, the people in power see, we can put super high, super high minimum sentences on non-violent drug offenders, and then we can make them work making license plates for 2 cents an hour for the rest of their life, basically.
Yeah. Well, imagine if every single prisoner, let's say just in one state, because, obviously we're not going to be able to do this for every state at the same time.
No.
Let's say every prisoner in the state of Indiana received a letter in the mail that says, hey, this is your opportunity to do free college by mail.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, simply sign here. It's at no cost to you.
And we make sure that we send them the full, we send them all their material and whatnot.
Right.
In a way that complies with prison rules.
Exactly.
So, like, no paper clips or no staples or
it can literally
whatever.
just be loose leaf paper. It doesn't...
We just send them a full book's worth of packet.
Yeah. No,
loose leaf.
The way that I want to do it is I want to send them that week's reading material in their package that week.
I would just say we just send them the full course all at once.
Okay.
Just because it would be easier than sending them weekly mail.
Fair enough. The reason why I want to do it weekly is very specific. I want to, whether it's for people in prison or people out of prison, I want to make it bite-sized so that it's manageable for them.
I mean, they have nothing but time, so...
True, but, people who are, whether they're in prison or in long-term medical care or in hospice or anything like that, like, they have a lot of time, but they're still people.
Yeah.
If I remember just this sense of kind of almost dread, even, when I would get these giant textbooks, and it's like, oh my God, how am I possibly going to read all of that? And, of course, by the end of the semester, I had read all of it. It's, it's not that hard when you only read a couple pages a day.
Yeah.
But if every week you were getting just the pages that you needed, and it's like, okay, mentally, I feel like it would be easier for people. Of like, okay, and then here's the thing. If they want to download the entire book, of course they can download the entire book online.
Yeah.
In their, first day packet, maybe we have like a USB drive that has all of their books for that semester or something like that. But something that I feel that people are really missing, especially in this age of digital technology, is how effective the old methods of, whether it's reading books on paper, whether it's watching media with a group of other people, these experiences that are largely being thrown by the wayside because they're not convenient anymore. But there's a reason why the Kindle, the Amazon Kindle, was pushed by Amazon by millions and millions of dollars in marketing, and yet the vast majority of people who read books still read them on paper.
Yes.
Even though it is more convenient to read it on the Kindle, and you don't have to drive to the library and all of this, people are still willing to do that because it's an effective way to learn what they want to learn, or experience what they want to experience, whether that's a romance novel, whatever.
I prefer audiobooks when it comes to that, but my case is slightly different, unfortunately.
Sure. Well, and you bring up a good point that, for those who are not in prison, if you're in prison, basically the only option is to get it by paper because that's the only thing you're allowed.
Well, not true.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They have full-blown tablets these days.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah. They have tablets, you can get TVs. Actually, you can get a lot of shit that wasn't available a decade ago.
But what I would like to see, for...
This guy's sketching me the fuck out. Give me a moment. Okay, you were saying?
What I would like to see, especially for students that are, traditional students, quote unquote, just people who are 18 years old and ready to start college. Maybe they're doing it from home, or maybe they're coming and living in a tiny house. Maybe they're building their own tiny house and living out in the middle of nowhere. Who knows?
Yeah.
What I would like to see is a curriculum that can be inclusive of all different types of learning styles. So whether somebody needs their book in Braille, whether they need it as an audiobook, whether they respond better to learning through video lectures or books or whatever, this system that we have of education where it only caters to one specific learning style, lectures and books, it's not effective.
No.
For about 90% of students. I happen to be one of the few that it is effective for. That's why I got all A's and everything.
Exactly. No.
But for those who are not taught best by that method, such as people with dyslexia,
yes!
What if every single book in your high school curriculum, for example,
was an audiobook? I would be in all AP classes.
Correct.
Hands down.
Exactly. There's no reason, there is zero reason that anyone should spend, $100,000 getting their basic courses out of the way when you can take AP tests and get those get that
shit done.
Get that shit done for next to nothing.
Uh-huh.
There are things called CLEP, for example, CLEP, CLEP courses, and literally, in fact, we don't even have to be accredited if we did CLEP, because
What's
that
CLEP?
already exists. Oh my god! I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of a wow moment here during the podcast. But so it's essentially the same as AP, but there's a wider range of different subjects that you can do. So most accredited colleges will take these credits as the equivalent of a college class. And the tests are not expensive. They're like $70 or something.
For real?
Yeah. And
so what you're saying is I could probably get a college degree for like $1,000.
Something like that, yeah. And so if we make courses for CLEP tests, just so that, you take the course and then you can pass the CLEP test. Again, we could have where people could get however many college credits that they want for next to nothing. For a couple $100, you could get basically any entry-level college class that you're interested in. And what do you know? Then you could actually go to college for the things that you are really interested in, instead of having to take 15 different courses that you have no interest in whatsoever and paying $100,000 for it.
Exactly.
Jesus. I think that we are in strong agreement that the system needs to change.
Oh, the system definitely needs to change.
But
because we're using an education system built off the back of 1600s, 1700s, bullshit like that.
Yeah. No, the modern educational system was invented in the Victorian era and has changed very little since then.
Yes.
We are in agreement that the system needs to change. But the thing that I find that I am oftentimes at odds with people when I talk to them about this type of stuff is that they'll say things like, "Oh, we just tear it all down. We should start from scratch."
No, you evolve it.
And the thing that I like to point out to people is that when that solution, quote unquote solution, has been tried in the past, usually whatever comes after is worse.
Well, what you need to do is take the systems and take the institutions that we currently have and not tear it down.
Right.
Build on, upgrade, revolutionize.
Yes.
And build another system next to it.
Exactly.
That's the lecture classes. So, the way education works, at least in the vocational programs,
Sure.
is they tell you about a thing, and then they show you how the thing's done,
Yeah.
and then they follow through with involving you in the thing.
Yeah.
And so they show you what it is, they show you the new tool, the new piece of equipment,
Right.
and then they tell you about it, and then they involve you.
Right.
It's the principle of, if you show me, if you tell me about it, I might forget. If you show me, I might remember. If you involve me, I learn.
Exactly.
Because the vast majority of men are actually hands-on learners. Believe it or not, it's part of our culture, DNA, the way that we've evolved over the last 100,000 plus years.
Right.
There's a reason how humans managed to survive and wipe out our competitors, because we figured out involving people in what we're doing is the way to get people to follow what you're saying. If you involve someone in a lesson, if you're actively involving them, your lesson goes so much smoother.
Absolutely.
People get it. People go, I see. It's the eureka moment of, oh, that's how that's done.
Right.
You involved me, and then you let me try it.
Right.
I didn't get it right the first time. I fell on my ass, and I hurt myself, and then the teacher comes by, oh, no, you did great. You did fine. We expect you to fall over the first time. It's like riding a bike.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've ever ridden a bike.
The only bikes that I've ridden have been three-wheeled bikes, including big ones for, normal-sized people and not
exactly.
people. But
3 or 4-wheeled bikes.
Sure.
Again, I learned how to ride a bike.
Yep.
And I did a lot of stupid shit with it.
You think?
I didn't hurt myself too badly. Okay, my shoelace fell off once and nearly murdered me, but hey, I'm fine. I got right back up and went, fuck.
Right.
That hurt. Rawr.
Right.
I've fallen head over heels on a bike before. Someone stopped and I'm like, you alright? I think.
Well, and how wonderful would it be if when someone got out of prison or when someone graduated from college at the age of 22 or whatever, they were completely overqualified for all of these shitty jobs that they don't want to do anyway.
Exactly.
I'm just graduated from the furry school of woodworking or whatever. I've just why would I go and work at a McDonald's for $12 an hour when I can go and work and make my own furniture and make hundreds of dollars a day?
Exactly.
Make it so that people can outcompete all of these things that they don't want to have to do anyway.
Exactly.
So,
or take me for example.
Sure.
The vast majority of jobs I apply for, I am the most stupidly overqualified person the interviewer generally sees, and they ask me point blank, "What the flying fuck are you actually doing here, and why are you here?"
Right.
Like, why are you still here?
Yeah.
Because all those other jobs have their benefits and they have their downsides.
Yep. So, going back to one of our earlier topics that I want to come back to. What is it that people need in their lives? So they need shelter, food, they need, in the modern world, electricity, internet, basic home goods. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but, just basic stuff to get through the day.
Yep.
But what they're really looking for is security and community, and that is what they cannot get. And so, how can we change it so that people can have security and community? And here's what I'm thinking. What if there was a way for anyone in America who wants to get a free education, college level, master level, PhD level, whatever they want, and then they get a free house at the end of it?
Yes. There's an idea.
This house is built by the people in the community, so it's built by other people who are doing the same thing, and they learn the skills to help build part of their own house and then build houses for other people. They would be able to use recycled materials, as we've talked about. That plastic signs are a perfect example of something that, every political campaign, I'm sure, would be happy to give us a truckload of free signs after their campaign is over. Because what are they going to do with them? A campaign sign that says John Kerry 2012 or whatever? Why would they still want that after the campaign?
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't. It's just going to go in the garbage. And so if we can put that to good use, if we can put that to the use of, building affordable housing for people, what's more affordable than free?
I mean, actively being paid is the only thing better than free.
Well, yeah, and again, if they have an in-demand skill, we would teach things like business, accounting, woodworking, nursing, veterinary care. These are the types of things that I want to teach through these courses, because they're very in-demand skills.
Yes.
And if these people went and lived in a community of other like-minded people, they would be skills that they would be very easily able to use in the community.
I need to take a little bit of a rest.
Sounds good. Well, we are going to finish up our episode there then, friends. And once again, my name is Neil Fox, the president for life of the Furry Fandom.
And we have the vice president of the Furry Fandom.
Yes. And please rate and review our podcast on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to it. And we hope that you have a very furry day.